you can immediately have access to marketing tools, to logistic, to export tools that as a small and medium-sized company you could never really use.
I guess at Zalando, at least in the past, I don't know how it is today, maybe you can share that there was always some concerns of brands. I personally remember in, again, 2014, 15, talking to brands about these things that they said, no, I'm never going to do that in this, the partner program because I want to control my brand and so forth and so forth. And now all of the brands, even Inditex brands working with you. What's your typical, let's say, value proposition to them that makes them come to you? Or are you just too big to not work with you?
Oh no, I mean, we still do have brands that are in wholesale, or I remember at least in the past we had brands in wholesale that said, okay, why should I do partner program? I'm actually very happy with how you buy my assortment and what would be then the additional benefits. Maybe I don't have the team and I'm not set up in the way to do that. That's something that we just discussed because Jakob also shared that, of course, you would also need to build some capabilities on your side, because what the partner program actually require from a brand is that you really get in direct interaction with your customers and also plan and steer your business yourself, right? So we really put our partners in control and in the driver's seat when it comes to stock management, pricing, merchandising, marketing. So this is something, of course, that might be first a challenge for our partners. But what we can see in our numbers is that even for quite mature, very mature wholesale brands, we could still see an NMV on top that is incremental of around 10 to 20%.
What's your answer if somebody has this fear that one day I make 50% of my revenues on Zalando? And then you say, okay, commissions, we switch them, same goes to Amazon, of course, switch them by, 2 percentage points up. This might bring a very thin margin all the way, shaking it up.
Yeah, so it's one of our partner principles to be fair to our partners. So if there might be any commission increase, we will inform our partners in advance, so that there is some time to adapt to it. But to be honest, there is no reason why we should do something that harm our partners, because I mean, a platform in itself is not, it cannot exist without partners. That's the basis, right? This is, we are as dependent on our partners as they are. So if they would decide that they now would just stop supplying us, then we would get a problem ourselves, right? So partnership is some key value for us and for our business.
Okay, Jakob, if you wanted to give the audience a great advice and tip and hint, very actionable in negotiations and discussions with these platforms, what's your top 3 what they can go for that maybe not everybody knows already or hasn't experienced yet?
Well, I think the first discussion you probably have might be internal, and I know I had the same discussions at my company as well, like 2.5 years ago. Like the question you raised, does it cannibalize if we are putting the same assortment or a similar assortment that we have in our online shop on a platform like Amazon, like Zalando? And we analyzed some data, and what we found out, and I believe you did in the past a similar study which came to shockingly similar results. Only a very small portion of the customers that we are seeing on our eShop are the same that are purchasing on platforms. So there rather is a uplift in people getting to know the brand, getting access to the brand, and then becoming a loyal brand customer. And it's not so much that people who were already buying in a brand online shop, which is already quite a specific purchasing channel, that they are moving away to a different platform. There might be some cases, but I think the majority is the other way around, or it's two different customer groups. Well, when you are negotiating with platforms like Zalando, like Amazon, obviously you need to do your math right. I think that's important, because the KPIs which we are seeing are different to the ones which we are seeing in our own online shop, especially if you look at how many items are there in per order, what's the return rate. It's also
so how does that differ?
Between those two platforms, actually.
Yeah, how does it differ compared to your own online shop? In terms of items per order, you would probably see half of that only on platforms?
At least.
At least. Okay, even less.
We are also seeing a difference there, actually, which might be interesting. If we are not selling through the wholesale channel, we see a higher items per order than if in a hybrid model. Which makes sense if you think about it, because a customer might order 6 items on Zalando. There might be 3 Seidensticker shirts, and then 2 are coming from the Zalando DC. 1 is coming from us, so that's reducing it further. But yeah, it's because of that. It's so important to calculate what makes sense in terms of the fee which I could afford, and I think it's fair to
return rate. You said is usually then higher. You would say.
Well, I think with Zalando it's higher. With Amazon it's lower, at least for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you said internal discussions, number 1, number 2, get the math right, and then really in the negotiations, what's possible? Is anything possible?
Well, I mean, Amazon has a more or less fixed pricing model, which is basically on the website. So, to be honest, we did negotiate during my time, so we already had a contract in place when I came to Seidensticker, so I can't really say much about that. Actually, it's the same for Zalando, at least with Germany. We did add further countries, but I think in general, and you said that as well, looking at Zalando and how they behave, it's quite a good partnership. And
there was an interesting announcement, I think, yesterday of Engelbert Strauss. Not sure if everybody knows that brand. It's coming from the workwear segment or vertical, now entering more and more into the fashion, I would think, or street. I don't even know exactly, but quite interesting with, I guess, almost $1 billion of revenue. And they clearly stated that they would not like to work with platforms, and they would like to own their customer, work in own channels, etc., etc. So very straightforward. Maybe they can afford it because they are in a comfortable position to do so. Would you say there are, rather to Jacob, I guess you guys, Luca and Belen, delicate question to ask you this. Would you say, Jacob, there's brands for whom platforms are not really a good option, just like Engelbert Strauss, or would you say they should do it because it's a win for every brand?
Well, I guess the main question is what's your USP, and why do you want people to purchase your brand? And if that is that, I don't know, maybe it is that the customer experience on your site is so specific that you cannot transform that experience to a Zalando model, maybe then that's the right choice to not sell there. Also, if you say your inventory is should not be available to the broad to all customers, maybe that's the case as well. I'm not seeing both actually for a brand like Engelbert Strauss, but or maybe I'm wrong.
Okay, or I might ask you again, I mean, there are, I guess, still brands who don't work with you. What's their rationale? Are they afraid of something, or would they want to own their customer access, or is it, what's the typical conversations that you've
I would say,
faced?
again, less and less. Companies are afraid, probably because some companies, they still don't understand how agile is a marketplace model. A marketplace, you can jump on a marketplace in a matter of few days. You can sell all your inventory, especially in fashion. You can sell.
Hold on a second. You said you can jump on a marketplace in a few days.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, maybe some manage to, but I guess the integration can sometimes be a bit more tricky.
The integration is long, but then you can make it as complicated as you want. But you can upload your inventory with an Excel file, basically. So it can be very quick if you want, and you can sell internationally. So especially for small and medium business, it's a fantastic opportunity to have access to multiple markets and have access to tools that usually are only dedicated to large companies. So just one example. In 2018, German companies exported for 2.5 billion euros. And when I say exported, I mean on Amazon marketplace, they sold abroad for 2.5 billion. And when I say abroad, it's not just Austria and Switzerland. Some companies sold in Trinidad and Tobago and in Sri Lanka. And so as a SMB, that's something extremely complicated. And you can immediately have access to marketing tools, to logistic, to export tools that as a small and medium-sized company you could never really use. I think this is what people still don't understand. There is a bit of a myth that it's complicated, and then there is also sometimes a mismanagement of a marketplace. And we're seeing companies that they come on the marketplace as they go on retail. So they put their inventory online and they forget about it. And they complain that nothing happens. Obviously, nothing happens. I think for the people who joined the Amazon Fashion presentation this morning, Tonio was saying that selling on the marketplace is like having your own store. Now, you may have a lot of traffic in front of your door, but it's your job to make people come in. So you need the right inventory, the right window, the right pricing. So it's a very active management with plenty of opportunities.
I'm not so experienced, to be honest, with Amazon and fashion on Amazon. Obviously, you two should be. But when I look at it, Amazon heavily relies on sorting, listing, ranking, and that's mainly driven by ratings as well. And if you look at fashion, a vertical where you have a lot of changing assortments, maybe not so much in the Seidensticker case, not sure, but obviously for fast fashion companies that have every week new collections coming, they cannot build any ratings, right? So how can they master the Amazon system to rank there?
It's a lot about marketing. So you need to have investment to get the
to spend more on Amazon.
Exactly.
Oh my God. But then how's that with you? I guess it's a different model, right? So it's not an open marketplace with Zalando, it's a closed marketplace, so there's no real competition on that SKU.
Exactly, there is no competition on that SKU. So we always have one seller at a time, and it's ranked in a way that it's always it's our wholesale. If we have it in wholesale, then wholesale ranks first, then it's the brand partner, and then it's a retailer.
Yeah.
So it's always only one price at a time.